In March 2024, 3 undersea cables snapped at the bottom of the Red Sea. Within hours, 25% of all internet traffic between Asia, Europe, and Africa slowed to a crawl. Banks couldn't process transfers. Companies couldn't reach their servers. Millions of people opened their phones and watched the wheel spin. The cables weren't hacked. They weren't sabotaged by a foreign government, at least not directly. They were probably cut by an anchor. A single ship, dragging metal across the seafloor, took down a chunk of the global internet. Here's what almost no one knows. 99% of everything you do online, every email, every video call, every transaction, every TikTok, doesn't travel through satellites. It travels through cables, about the thickness of a garden hose, sitting on the floor of the ocean. And the routes those cables take aren't random. They're one of the most carefully guarded systems on Earth. There are roughly 600 undersea cables in service right now, stretching about 1.4 million kilometers across the ocean floor, enough to wrap around the Earth 35 times. Each one is a bundle of glass fibers thinner than a human hair, wrapped in layers of plastic, steel, copper, and waterproofing. They carry data as pulses of light, moving at nearly the speed of light, across entire oceans. A single modern cable can carry over 250 terabits per second. That's enough to stream 10 million high-definition movies at the same time, through one cable, the width of a hose. And here's the thing, satellites can't replace them. Starlink and other satellite networks combined carry less than 1% of global internet traffic. The latency is too high, the bandwidth too low. The real internet lives underwater. Look at a map of these cables and you'll notice something strange. They don't take the shortest path between continents. They cluster. There are choke points. The Strait of Malacca between Indonesia and Malaysia carries a huge share of Asia-Europe traffic. The Red Sea funnels cables between Europe and India. The waters around Egypt carry roughly 17% of the entire world's internet. Why concentrate in these dangerous, narrow, geopolitically tense areas? Because the alternatives are worse. Cables need to land somewhere with infrastructure. A data center, a power grid, a stable government willing to host the landing station. They need shallow continental shelves, not deep ocean trenches. They need to avoid earthquake zones, underwater volcanoes, and fishing grounds where trawlers drag nets across the seafloor. So you end up with these natural highways. And like any highway, when one lane closes, everything backs up. Cables break constantly, on average about 150 times a year worldwide. Most breaks come from fishing trawlers and ship anchors, not sabotage. The seafloor is a working environment, and cables are vulnerable. Repair is slow. There are only about 60 cable repair ships in the entire world. When a break happens, the nearest ship has to sail to the location, sometimes days away, drag the seafloor with a grappling hook to find the cable, pull it up to the surface, splice it, and lower it back down. A single repair can take 2 to 4 weeks. In rough weather, longer. During that time, traffic gets rerouted through other cables. If you live in a region with redundant connections, North America, Western Europe, you might not notice. If you live somewhere with fewer cables like East Africa or parts of the Pacific, your entire country can lose significant internet for weeks. In 2022, Tonga was completely cut off from the global internet for 38 days after an undersea volcano severed its only cable. This is where it gets dangerous. In recent years, cables have been cut under suspicious circumstances. In 2023, cables connecting Taiwan to its outer islands were severed twice in a week, likely by Chinese vessels. In 2024 and 2025, multiple cables in the Baltic Sea were cut in what European officials believe was deliberate sabotage. Governments now treat undersea cables as critical infrastructure on par with power grids and pipelines. NATO has a dedicated task force monitoring them. The US, UK, and Japan have all classified cable protection as a national security priority. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Cutting cables is easy. Defending them is nearly impossible. They sit on a public seafloor, often in international waters, vulnerable to anyone with a ship and a grappling hook. The entire global economy moves through these wires, and almost no one is watching them. When you open your phone and the page loads, it feels like magic. It isn't. It's a pulse of light traveling thousands of miles through a glass thread sitting in cold, dark water, passing through countries that may or may not be at war with each other, vulnerable to a single dragged anchor. The internet isn't a cloud, it's a cable, and the cable is fragile. Next week, why some countries drive on the left, and the surprising chain of historical accidents that decided which side of the road your country chose. Subscribe. New video every Sunday. I'm Atlas Mechanics, the world taken apart.